Hi, it's Martin and welcome to another video on my Knit365 YouTube channel. Today's video is one of my November weekly vlogs where I share my shawl progress. Yes, there are still ends. And the Christmas cake along and just other things that we do in November to catch up for some of the things I didn't finish in October because it was all very busy. So welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for the love and support on the Christmas cake along video. For those of you that watched it, it's been so amazing to hear about your family traditions from around the world, and whether you have a traditional British, UK style fruit cake or something different. It's been lovely to hear about all of the things and the traditions that your family get up to. So I currently have a Christmas cake in the oven. So I'm going to edit bits of this video together. So at the end, you will be able to see the finished Christmas cake. It's got 11 minutes left. I've just given it a prick with a skewer and it is nearly ready. So I'm just going to give it another 10 minutes. The skewer's come out clean, but I'm just going to give it another 10 minutes just to be on the safe side. So yeah, I have made great progress on my shawl, which I'm going to leave like this for a moment. I'm going to be a tease. You need to stay watching this video to see my finished clue 3. Woohoo! So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. I don't think I've said welcome for a while. We've had a big influx of new followers, which has been amazing, particularly all of you West knitters that have found me during the Mystery Knit Along. Yeah, Geogradient has been a bit of a ride and I'm really enjoying where I've got to with it. So I'll show you that in a moment. If you're new here though, and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please do so and be part of our community. You're very welcome. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for giving me some more of your time today. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. It'll be a slightly shorter one. We'll talk about the shawl in a moment and some other things that I've been up to. But for now, let me hand you to Martin from this morning. It's currently 1:45-ish, and Martin of this morning filmed making one of the Christmas cakes. So I'm going to hand you over to him now, and then I'll be back in a moment. Okay, we're doing this the other way around because I'm going to record a bit later the intro. I'm trying to speak quietly because Mark is still asleep. But you've just seen me doing all the origami. So I have a roll of greaseproof paper, parchment paper, and you use it to line the tin, which you've now seen me do. So because the cake is going to bake for 3.5 to 4 hours, that's what usually for this size tin. And my cake comes out a bit lower because I think the tin, I'll measure the tin, I don't know how big it is, but I think it's slightly wider than in the recipe. So my cake it's not a big cake, it's that height. But because it's going to bake low and slow in the oven, you don't want the cake to burn on the outside. So we've lined the tin. So it gets a double layer on the bottom, that was a square, and then the rectangle goes around the side. And you can buy these ready-made, like you can buy cake liners. But I just do my own because that's how my grandfather used to do them. So tin is lined on the inside, and then the other bits that you saw me do, we have 2 extra bits. So we've got a higher liner, and I put that around the outside edge, which I'm going to tie on with some wool, always woolly content, and it's also got a little hat. So the hole lets the steam out so that the cake doesn't boil, I think is how it properly cooks in the oven. So I have lined the inside, but I also line the outside. Now, Delia says to just line it. She doesn't specify to do it twice, but again, this is how Bampi used to do it, so that's how I do it. So it'll have a lining on the inside and then a collar, effectively, around the outside, and it just protects it from the heat and stops it burning or going too brown. So I'm going to put that on in a moment, and then when the cake mixture is in, I'll pop the little hat on, and then the steam can escape, and it stops the top browning too much. So let's tie the string around, and then I'm going to weigh out all of my ingredients. I need Mark to wake up because I gave Mark the measurement for the glass bowl that's got all the fruit in, so I know how much to take out. I think it was 1,866 grams, but I don't know. So I'm either going to need to steal his phone and hope he wrote it down, or it's in his memory. I might need to wake him up. Let's go do that. Ready to go. So I've got butter in the mixer, and then we're going to add the sugar to cream it. And then I'm going to sift in the flour with some spices and some salt. And then I'm going to stir in the fruit. And if I pop that down, you can hopefully see in the picture how plump the fruit has become, glistening in the rum and the brandy, the rum and the juices. So sift in the fruit, stir in some flaked almonds, and then grate in the peel of an orange and lemon. And I think that's it. So let's get going. Voila, I've smoothed the top over. Look at all that goodness. And now its little lid goes on just to protect it while it's in the oven. And then there we go. So I'm now going to bake this. The recipe says 4.5 hours, but I check it after 3.5, because my tin is, as I said, the tin is slightly wider, so I make a slightly thinner cake. So happy baking, little one. I really wish you could smell the smells, because it smells so Christmassy in here. It's just wonderful. So I'll show you the finished cake at the end of this video. So I've made some progress on my shawl, and also this week I started a new project. It's only a little project, and Mark and I went to London for the weekend. I think I said in the last episode we went to see Guys and Dolls at the Bridge Theatre. An amazing production. If you can get to London before August next year, go and see it. I don't think it's in a custom built theatre, but I don't know what came first, the theatre or the show, but the stage moves up and down in layers, and the audience moves around if you've got standing, and it was just spectacular. I saw the show about 10, 12 years ago when it was last in London. Really loved the show, but then this is a new production, and I'm so glad we went to see it. But while I was in London, I did take my shawl, but had like a 45-minute tube journey, and just generally been out and about. This wasn't the easiest of projects to take with me for the slip stitch wing. So last year, those of you that watch Vlogmas may know that I think I won this, but I don't know how I won it, or maybe I bought it. I don't know. Those of you that watch my videos and pay more attention than I do may know where it came from. However, I won a kit from Toft, an elfie kit, to make a lovely little crochet elf. And a few years before, I'd made an elf. So this was made a few years ago. I don't know where this hat is. all of my Toft creations live in a basket over there. And when the nieces and nephew come and play, they know they're allowed in the basket and they can take all of the toys out to play with, which is super cute. Just out of shot there are the Christmas birds. They've all got beads and things on them. They're not allowed to play with those, which is why they're up on a shelf. And you can see the Queen is there and some of the other dolls are there. Oh, they're not allowed to play with those either because they're too precious. But they are allowed to play with all the other things I've made. So I made an elf, but I don't know where his hat is. There's very much of a likeness, isn't there? Crazy hair, bald head. So yeah, I made an elf. And then last year I won, I'm sure I won it in like an Ed's extravaganza trick or treat. No, that would be Halloween. I don't know anyway, but I won an elfie kit. So I thought all year I'm going to make the elfie kit. So I've got Elf and Elfie ready for Advent and I took it with me to London. So I've got this far. She has a body and a head. I've done the ears separately and I've sewn them on. I'm kind of going to sew it as I go so that it's easier at the end. And I've also done 2 arms. So it didn't take me long. Like those arms took me like 10 minutes each. So I'm going to keep her going now for a couple of days and get her finished. But it's been actually quite a nice palette cleanser because I talked on one of the lives with Irina that I need a bit of a break, I think, from that shawl because it's all I've knit on. When I've had any knitting time, that's all I've really knit. And like last night, I couldn't count to 4. The amount of times on this second wing, I've had to rip the row back because I get to the end of the row and in the middle, it's a repeating 4-row segment, but the beginning and the end of the row are often different stitch counts because you're decreasing. And the amount of times I've got the beginning wrong and I get to the end and I should have 3 stitches left and I've got 5 left. And so I needed a bit of a palette cleanser anyway. So I'm glad I grabbed Elfie out. Very portable project, really easy, beginner's sort of Toft project. I say it's beginner, it has got some color changing in it. So I think it probably would be classed as a level 2 rather than level 1. I don't really know though, so don't quote me on that. But I think there's enough videos from Toft and Kerry and the team that you could make her. So she's kind of halfway, maybe. I've done the big bits. I've got 2 legs, the shoes and the dress and then the hair and that's it. So I had a bit of a palette cleanser with Elfie and that's the only thing I've really worked on. So to my shawl. Now I have been sewing in my ends mostly as I've been going. There are still lots of ends. However, I am 50% there with my ends. I've finished all of the ends on one side. So for those of you like the reverse, especially this section here, it works on either side, honestly. It's so cool. So if I just show you, let me do this and then I'll do a zoom out. So there's the completed clue 3. Clue 2, where we turned the square into a diamond. And then the diamond, the square. I love this from Pink Queen, the adapted centre with the triangles. So if I come back as far as I can, I love it so much. And more importantly, Mark loves it, which is even more important. So already it's quite a big shawl. So making good progress. I've just talk to Mark now, because the next section, so clue 4, we're now going to pick up, we're going to pick up here, we're going to knit all the way down, all the way across, and all the way back up. And we do this lovely dropped stitch design. I reference that because some of you aren't West knitters. Bless you! Mark's here, just sneezed. Some of you aren't West knitters and won't necessarily have seen what the finished shawl is going to look like. So we're going to create this border now that comes along the bottom, and it's got this slip stitch design or drop stitch design. And you can repeat it as many times as you want based on how much yarn you've got left. Because Mark's obviously a lot smaller than I am, we've decided that we're going to do 1 repeat of each colour, and then we're going to measure it on him, but we think that's all we're going to do. I don't think we're going to, I think in Stephen's one, or I've seen someone, there's like 2 repeats of each colour, which makes it quite a deep shawl. I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to do 1 of each and then go to the fringing. And he's decided he does want fringe now, but not single strand fringe like eyelashes. He wants the twisted sort of tassels. So that will be helpful because I obviously don't want to run out of yarn. If I do a deep one and then I use quite a yarn heavy style tassel, I don't want to run out of that. So we're making really good progress. I'm really happy. Team Embrace Your Pace. We know what happened this year. It's absolutely fine, but I just love this clue 3. And I'm really happy that I finished. I need to sew my ends in on this side. But I'm 50% of the way there with my ends, so I feel like that's a win. So yeah, I've still got a few ends. But what I am going to do now is, because this one looks a bit more complicated now, because the setup row, we're picking up stitches all the way down. We're going to get to like 900 stitches. The timer is going to go off in 12 seconds. We're going to get to like 900 stitches, which doesn't make it an easy out and about project to do those setup rows, which is going to be quite, can you hear it? It'll go off in a minute and then I'll go and get the cake. It won't make for an easy, I'm sorry if you have pets or dogs that are now going mental at the timer. When Loki's here, it'll stop in a minute. Unless I go and stop it now. We should have an interlude. There we go. See, I knew it wasn't long. Yes, so because it's going to be over 900 stitches, it's not, that pickup row is not going to be the greatest. Once I've done that set of row, I think I'm just knitting and purling for 5 or 6 rows. And then I do the drop stitch. So the knitting and the purling is okay to go out and about, but I also, as I said, I need a bit of a palette cleanser. So I'm going to finish Elfie. And what I'm also going to do, and I hope I can start it today and have a complete palette refresh for Mark's shawl, I'm going to start my shawl. And I said I would do this on the live with Irina and Stephen and Linda. I'm going to do mine. Mark's is going to be the perfect older child. It's how Stephen intended. It follows the structure and the colour placement. Mine's going to be a bit wilder. And I'm going to do the crochet centre. And I'm going to add in mohair and fluff. And I've already worked out where I think. So when I do my crochet granny square in the middle, I'm going to replace my 3rd colour on one of the rows with a row of fluff. There will be fluff in here to replace it. I'm going to try and do maybe the 1st row on the border will be fluff. I'm going to try and change it, and I'm going to try and work out whether I can put like, maybe, I'm not sure if this will work yet. Answers on a postcard or in the comments below. With the granny square, I'm going to see if I can tie tassels and ends so it looks like I've got a few tassels in the middle as well. I've got ideas of how I can make mine like the wild younger child, the naughty sibling. So I'm going to have a go at starting mine today. So I'd quite like to get the granny square done and then pick up the knit stitches. And then again, I think that's quite an out and about project because it's portable, because I'm just knitting a square. I'm knitting a square in the round. I think that's what I'm doing. I'm not sure. I need to work out Stephen's adaptation. But I'm going to have a go on that one. So next week when you join me, because I'm going to keep doing these videos weekly, I will hopefully have started mine, and I will have made a start on Mark's clue 4. But I want to get the crochet bit done and then the first row of knitting, and then I'm going to put mine down. Mine is going to be a December knitting on holiday project. I think I want to get Mark's done in November. I'm on track. I've just got to do the stripe. And I've got fluff in my mouth. So we will see. Right, the timer's gone off. I'm going to go and take the cake out of the oven. Then I need to let like 10 minutes pass for it to cool. Will I do that? I'll see now. It needs to cool before you see it, I think. I might leave it cool in the tin. Mark, do I leave it cool in the tin usually?
Yeah, about 10 minutes or so.
And then take it out after 10 minutes? Yeah. Okay, right. So we've got to go out at 50 so I've got time. So I'm going to take it out of the oven. I'll be back in a minute. One cake, hand for scale so that you can see. It is nice and juicy. So the grease-proof, the parchment, I've just squashed that down so I can take it out. It's a free bottom cake tin. So I put the glass there, pop the tin down, and then it comes out, and then I just manhandled it. So there you can see, look at that. Nice and springy. There we go. Cake done. So I'm going to leave that out on the side now and let it go completely cold. And then I'm going to wrap it, a double wrap in parchment greaseproof paper, and then a wrap of foil around it. I'm going to bake the second one tomorrow. That's the first one. And then I will leave it until the weekend. And then in the next video I'll show you, I will feed it with some more rum. Haha. You don't need to do that. It's a fruit cake. It will mature with age. But if you want to help it stay nice and moist, because they can dry out fruit cakes, you get a cocktail stick and prick holes all over the top of it, and then just pour. You can, if you watch some TV chefs, they prick it with cocktail sticks and then they pour the brandy in with a spoon. I just put the alcohol, so rum in my case, in a little dish, and then I just brush it on. And then you do that, leave it a week, turn it over and do the other side, leave it a week, turn it over. So you just keep alternating the sides that you brush. I won't do it every week. I'll do it once or twice because we like a little bit of a rumness. It just gives you a little spicy Caribbean flavouring. You can absolutely feed it with just orange juice. I would recommend that you do give it a little feed so that it stays nice and moist. That's my personal recommendation. I am not Delia Smith or Jamie Oliver or Nigel Slater. But I like to give it a feed because it helps it to stay moist. So there we go. Cake one is done. We've done a cake today. I've shown off my shawl. I've shown off Elfie. That doesn't look much like an Elfie yet. And there we go. So thank you for joining me for this week's video. I'm going to finish editing this together, get it up onto the YouTube. I will be back next Monday or Tuesday, hopefully, to share some more progress, and we'll keep doing weekly throughout November as we get ready for Vlogmas. One of my advents has arrived. Did I say that? Maybe I'll show the unopened advent in the next video. Who knows? But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here. Yeah, please look after yourselves. Do lots of knitting and crochet and crafting and Christmas planning. And we've got a list of things that we now want to buy for the nieces and the nephew. We've now had their Christmas lists that they've sent to Santa. So cute. So need to sort out some Christmas shopping and yeah, all the rest of it. So we're going to have a fun week. So I hope that you are all keeping well. I'll be back next week, hopefully. So until we speak again, happy crafting.